Hi, I'm Brett Davis, the editor-in-chief of Inside Unmanned Systems magazine. We're here at the Autonomous Media booth, and we are talking with Jon Damush, CEO of Iris Automation, who has you've had a lot of exciting news here at the show.
Indeed.
So let's talk about your CASIA system and what it can provide both in the air and around.
Sure. Put simply, Iris exists to ensure that no two aircraft ever collide in midair.
Good thought.
Yeah. I mean, every business needs a why. Like, I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. If you don't know who Simon Sinek is, he wrote a book called Start With Why. And if an organization understands its why, then it becomes much easier to align all the behaviors and incentives in the organization to accomplish that goal. So ours is pretty important. Make sure two airplanes don't crash. We've been doing this now for about 6 years. It's an optical technology. It's almost like an Internet of Things device. It's an edge device where all the computation happens on the device itself, which means we don't need a lot of bandwidth. We don't need a connection. Run in austere environments, self-contained on board the drone, or more recently we launched a ground-based version of the product that we can deploy multiple units to cover, very large areas of low-altitude airspace and provide that awareness to one to many operators simultaneously. So that's what we do. The most recent big announcement right here at the show was we've been working with DroneUp for the last few months, and led by Andy Thurling over there and a number of other technology partners like Sarah Acoustics, Involi, DroneUp's own AirMap team from the inside. True Weather Solutions is in there. And what Andy's doing is basically bringing together these capabilities, acting almost as a system integrator, obviously to support DroneUp's growth aspirations, but to be able to put a repeatable system in front of the FAA so that the FAA can say, hey, you can go deploy this where you want to go do deliveries, and have a ground-based surveillance system that provides airspace awareness that allows them to fly beyond visual line of sight and enable their growth and expansion plans in support of Walmart. So that's really exciting. Great partners. It's always wonderful to work with people who get it and understand and take a rational and logical approach to solving problems, and they're certainly doing that, which has been great.
And being optical, you can cover quite a bit of ground, so to speak, air, with just a few systems. Yeah,
we can. So with the onboard system, it's one system. Depending on the standards that are at play that the regulator is going to look for you to basically satisfy, it might be one camera, as in the case of our customer Senseis Technologies. They have a single camera mounted in those. It could be up to 5 cameras, which provides a 360-degree field of view around the drone. That would it basically gives about a 2-kilometer bubble around the drone of awareness of traffic. With that kind of range, you've got plenty of time for us to say, hey, there's an intruder here. It's a small fixed-wing aircraft. It is 1,500 meters away, co-altitude. That signal then goes to an autopilot, and depending on the avoidance maneuver that the OEM or the operator is programmed to the autopilot, it will then execute an automatic avoidance maneuver and safely get out of the way. On the ground, similar performance range, roughly a 2-kilometer radius, but then we can just drop additional nodes to cover larger areas. So earlier this year, we didn't make an announcement at the show, but we did do a talk where we shared kind of a behind the scenes how we're getting a no visual observer beyond visual line of sight approval for the Pearland Police Department just southwest of Houston, Texas. They now have the ability to fly without visual observers, DFR missions, which for those of you that don't know what DFR is, drone as first responder, which is basically, imagine a 911 call comes in, the first responder dispatched is the drone instead of police car, ambulance, fire engine.
And that gives them better situational awareness when you
faster
do need
time,
to send people in.
Yep,
right?
Faster time on scene. The camera systems that are on board provide incredible situational awareness and detailed imagery, so that now the teams that are going to respond, they can respond with the appropriate level of resource, and those resources formed. They know what they're going to see when they get there. There's one famous case, I think this came out of Chula Vista, where a citizen called in a case that they see the person brandishing a weapon, a gun, outside of a CVS or some store like that, and launched the drone, and they zoom in, and it ended up being a cigarette lighter. It just happened to look like a pistol. But if they didn't know that, they're going to roll up to that scene like armed,
ready.
Yeah. And a lot of them. And because they knew that, now they could roll up with a single car, not armed,
double check,
casual approach. So the de-escalation, it was just it was magical. So we're really proud of that. We did that with 2 of the ground-based systems that were working in concert to provide this kind of like dog bone shaped area of operation. We worked really closely with the FAA, and I got to give them credit. They leaned on this and said, yeah, you know what, you've presented a safety case that basically is showing a level of compliance to the existing rules. I think that's really important because so many of us have been, pushing for change of rules. Changing rules is hard. It takes a long time, and while the FAA has indicated a willingness to go down that path, they've also been very clear about the fact that it could take a very long time. And I think we in industry here, we need to find a way to accelerate growth of the market and not wait longer. So the more we can do to minimize the amount of change we ask for, the faster this is going to happen. So in my mind, that is, okay, great, let's show compliance to the rule. We did that in the case of Pearland. We're working with a number of other partners right now to do exactly the same thing with both ground-based and onboard systems, and very bullish about the future. We're really excited.
Yeah, you said that, I guess based on Pearland, you're seeing a lot of interest from law enforcement and others, for this.
Sure, because the law enforcement use case, we interact with the city, we get access to city infrastructure. Pearland, we're on top of a water tower and on top of the fire department, right? So you can think of all that.
You're very flexible in where you can place these things, because they're not large.
It's an 8-pound birdhouse, and you can clamp it to just about anything. It's really easy. All it takes is 110 power and some sort of internet connection, and we can also do that over LTE. Because remember, we're not streaming video; it stays there. So we only send out data when we have an intruder, and the data packet's really, really tiny. So
you're not overloading people with data coming in?
Very, very easy to deploy, very flexible deployment options. But when you see the concept of operation that's enabled by that approach, well, it becomes very easy to see how, drone delivery, that works for that. It works for infrastructure inspection. We're getting a lot of interest now from dock and drone in a box solution providers, because if you put one of our ground-based units right next to your dock, well, now all of a sudden you've got airspace awareness over 13 square kilometers. Well, now you can go to the FAA and say, hey, great, thank you for shielding. That's great, really logical and rational, but I need to go a little higher because the sensor package needs to be this far from the target, or I want to transition from one tower to the next without having to have another dock there, right? So going beyond visual line of sight and then going higher and farther, you've got to have airspace awareness, and this provides them a really simple, affordable way to go do that that's appropriate for the risk that's in the environment. And so far so good. We've got great collaboration with partners and with the FAA to keep moving forward.
And you've been doing a lot here at the show. You've been in other talks with other companies. So what's kind of been the response that you're getting? A lot of people know you anyway, but what's sort of been the response at the show?
This has been a great show. Honestly, the energy level on the show floor has been fantastic. I myself have not had time on the show floor because
you're busy.
It seems that it's one meeting after another, but that's why we come here, right? We don't necessarily come here to sell ours. We come here because it's an aggregation of all the people in our industry, from customers to partners to investors to vendors, and fill the docket with meetings and it works. But I would say that our industry is maturing. Our relationship with the regulator is becoming more clear. The regulator, by definition, will always move slower than industry will, but that's okay. That's their job. And now industry is getting smarter about what really concerns the regulator, which is leading to a more coherent and clear approach to asking for waivers and exemptions, and that leads to faster approvals that are more valuable and useful for industry. So, I see steady progress in the space. Excited about what's going to happen in the rest of 2023 here, and going from there.
Great. Anything else about the CASIA system or the company that we need to know?
Yeah, U.S.-based company. We're really small. We're based in Reno, Nevada. Our future aspirations is to start speculatively deploying these ground-based units. So without having to wait for a customer, we'll pick a region, and we're in discussions with a couple of other key partners that share that vision. So, I'd say watch this space. We're gonna do some stuff, and we're gonna pick a couple regions around the country where we're just gonna go deploy a network of our ground-based systems, work with the FAA to basically get it, lack of a better word, I don't know what the FAA is really gonna do here in terms of the instrument, but will just say approve its use as a third-party surveillance system, and then any drone operator that wants to fly in that airspace simply subscribes.
So you take that burden away from those.
They don't have to worry about the capital. They don't have to worry about the installation. They don't have to worry about integrating on the drone. They just subscribe to the data feed into whatever their UTM or ground control station or situational awareness software is, and now they can satisfy 91.113 because they can see other traffic and avoid it. Right? That's the basis of the rule. And if we can get there and we can start getting there with some more scale, then I think we can help take the pressure off of having to get that rule changed in a really big way, because that's the one that's going to be the stickiest and is going to extend the timeline to get the rule. And like I said, we all want to get there faster, not slower.
And safe. I mean, you like you said, you and the FAA share that goal.
We do, and I'll add one more thing. This is just me personally. I'm a general aviation pilot. I'm a commercial pilot, a flight instructor. I spend time in low altitude airspace. I want to see this get done right. But one thing I also want to see is I want to see technologies that exist on this floor make it onto my airplane. Right? And
it makes you safer in your plane.
Right, and it's really hard to innovate those technologies on a certified airplane in current Part 91 ops, but we can do it here, right? So if we can get to deploying these things faster so that we can iterate and learn as an industry, the regulator can learn as a regulator and get to a level of comfort with the performance of these systems, then I think we can speed the impact of these technologies onto general aviation. And if we can do that, general aviation gets safer, right? And if we can do that, now
the rest of the skies
and
are safer.
And it goes through the rest of things. I mean, our aspirations are aviation wide. I joke with my team. I'm like, look, my vision is that there's an Iris system on every airplane, just like there are backup sensors on every car. There's absolutely no reason we can't get there. So we got to get the regulator the data they need. They need to get comfortable with it. But when that happens, man, I'm excited for what it does for all of aviation.
It's going to be really interesting to watch as that expands.
Yeah, it is.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming
Certainly.
by. It's great to see you.
Brett. Pleasure. Thanks.